essentially, members of the public and the county commission, the district is here as opposed to West Virginia Public Service Commission pursuant to West Virginia Code 24-2-11. The district is of such a size now that the legislature has deemed it more appropriate that the county commission be in charge of approving both the convenience and necessity of a project and
We know that, tell them.
any related rights. So to that end, the district is proposing to upgrade by building a new treatment facility, tanks that need to be done. The reason why that is necessary is that the district has for several years operated over capacity. The Bureau of Public Health will not allow that. So one component of this project is to construct a new wastewater treatment facility at the existing A plant that's located in Margaretville, Huntington, I guess, at Nova Street, Boulder Street. The project also has a component where a sewer line system will be constructed along the remainder of the Route 2 area that was not serviced by the original Phase 1 project, which was several years ago. This will bring sewer service to several businesses that currently operate what are called package plants. This will push them out of the sewer business, allow them to focus more on what their actual business is. It will then come up the Merritt's Creek Connector, opening up that area for development. I think Ms. Foster, who is the general manager of the Febuary Public Service District, will tell you all when we put her on that there have been many inquiries about getting this project done to take those wastewater treatment plants offline, as well as opening up that area for development, both residential and commercial. In order to fund the project, it is being financed through what's called a West Virginia Infrastructure and Jobs Development loan of $28 million with something called principal forgiveness, which is in essence a grant of $500,000, a U.S. Economic Development grant of $2.5 million, an IJBC grant of $500,000. Part of the project, as it has transmorphed, has been contact with the village of Barbersville regarding taking their treatment plant offline, their lagoon offline, and transmitting all of their waste to the new treatment plant at the A plant facility located at P Ridge. They will become a customer of P Ridge PSC. They will pay a rate, a treatment rate, much like any other customer will pay. That agreement will need to be approved by the Public Service Commission, whereas the overall treatment plant and the rates associated therewith will have to be approved if, God willing, the Caddo County Commission decides that that is in the best interest of the people and citizens of Caddo County. This project has been years in the making. This is not something that the district has done willy-nilly. It has been obtaining funding. We have obtained well over 300 easements. We have obtained real property sites for lift stations, etc. I think Ms. Foster will tell you that most of the comments that she has received regarding this project have been favorable in that people don't want to have to replace their septic systems if they can get sanitary sewer provided to them along the corridor. That is the goal of this. The district is proposing a 4-phase rate increase over 4 years, with the first rate to go into effect if the county commission approves it 45 days after the approval, and then it will be annually thereafter. Ms. Foster can tell you that the rates of the P Ridge Public Service District are well within line of those for the municipalities around here, as well as the other public service districts, those being Culloden and Salt Rock. Both Culloden and Salt Rock are members of an organization called the Regional Plan Operating Committee, which in essence functions to allow those three entities, Salt Rock Public Service District, the City of Milton, and Culloden Public Service District, to transmit their wastewater to one localized facility located at Salt Rock. They are going to have rate increases coming soon because, just generally speaking, cost of operations for wastewater treatment plants have gone up. In essence, what we are asking the commission to do is approve both convenience and necessity for the upgrade of the wastewater treatment plant, as well as the project funding to allow us to build it and to put the sewer lines in along the second phase of Route 2 and the Maris Creek Canal. I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. President.
I have a list of 14 people who desire to speak. If you do, be sure you speak loud enough for all of us to hear. And we will begin with Kim.
There's a podium up here, they could speak into the microphone.
Oh, this one at the podium?
Yes.
Okay. If you would then please, so that everybody can hear. Unless it makes you very nervous, come up and speak into that microphone, beginning with Kimberly Herbert Maynard.
We have a lot of senior citizens and, retired people and people that's on disability that lives on my street alone. We were told when they came out with the easement deeds, that we could tap in for free, which I understand that. But nobody has addressed the issue of what it's gonna take to dismantle our septic tanks. How much is that gonna cost the homeowner? Not only for the line that goes from the tap to the house, but also to dismantle our septic tanks. As for me and my husband, we have no access to our backyard. We don't own enough property on either side or behind it for someone to come in and dismantle our septic tank, which is happens to be in the backyard. I would like to know if there's gonna be anybody that's gonna help absorb some of this cost, cause like I said, there's 9 houses on our road, 2 of them work. Everybody else is on a fixed income. So that's gonna put a huge burden on their finances, something that they're not prepared to pay for, don't know how much it's gonna cost. And we was told that the EPA, that we could tap onto it free when it was under construction, but if we decided to do it after construction, then we would have to pay a fee. And eventually the EPA would make us, and the health department would make us tap onto it. On the easement deed, it shows that it's gonna run up beside my house. But there's a big problem there. There's state road drainage there. That ground has been eroding away for years. I have called and called and called. Finally, they came out and fixed it, told me it was good, poured 3 bags of concrete down around the culvert. 6 months later, it's starting to erode again. How are you gonna put a sewer right up against a storm drain that's eroding? Cause I'm told that the reason why they want to take our septic tanks away is because, they're not environmentally friendly. But if you put a septic tank or a sewer line beside a storm drain that is eroding, you're gonna have the same problem. It's gonna get into our water, it's gonna get into, the creeks, the streams.
I don't really know if we want to, do you want to try to answer questions as we go, Mr. Fora, or?
Well, if you don't mind, I believe Mr. Carpenter, the district's engineer, can address the issue of line location but I don't know that we would actually have any cost estimates of what it would take to retire an existing septic system. I think they can be retired in place, is my understanding, but.
Would you be willing to talk to this lady and see what's up?
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to do that.
I think he should say, answer
All
the
right.
question.
The next person registered to speak
So we can
is,
I'm thinking
Oh.
he should answer the question so we can know and everybody else can know instead of talking to him privately. It may be another question that other people have.
Sure, can you address those issues to the best?
Yeah, I mean, the service connecting the sewer line from the house to the main line is gonna be variable just based off the distance from the main line to, the connection. So that's gonna be variable depending on where your connection to the house is gonna be. In terms of the connection,
No.
with doing away with the septic tank, when service is made available through the collection, when the collection system is ready and online, doing away with the septic tank and what that would be required. I don't have a good cost estimate for you to do away with a septic tank at this point. Um, but we do, in terms of the other question that you had about your drainage, we'd be happy to look at that in terms of if you've got some concerns on there. I understand you do have a signed easement, and we did send a landman out there, and if there's something, if there's some concern that you have with the design issue, we're happy to come out and take a look at it. And, to ensure, that there aren't any drainage issues after that sewer line is in. The other thing too is,
There's draining issues now.
well, and so we can go out and take a look at it and make sure that those are addressed as part of the construction there. I mean, that's what we can do, to look at that.
Mr. Engineer, would you give us your name again for the record?
Yes, sir. Jonathan Carpenter,
Thank you.
I'm an engineer with the Thrasher Group.
The next person is, Jeff Spurlock.
Yeah, I have, one request and one question. Is, did Thrasher Engineering provide jobs that they've done for other communities as a bond, whatever, or job performance to us? And did I understand him to say that we're supposed to start paying on this 2 years before we get hooked up? After you all approve the
Yeah, what's that?
job or whatever.
Well, if I can address that, I don't know where you heard that you're
Well,
gonna,
you just said that once they approve it, they're gonna start billing.
well, but you won't be a customer until you're hooked up.
So I get hooked up.
Right, and then after construction is complete, we will send out, the statute requires a 30-day notice,
Okay.
after construction is substantially complete.
But maybe a job on performance by other Thrasher Engineering from other communities.
Well, I can tell you from my experience, I do a lot of public service commission work, but they're well known in the wastewater and water treatment. Currently, just the projects that I'm working with them on, it will be a couple projects for wastewater and sewers.
Asking
At
for previous
Craigville. Yep, they work for
issues that people
the
may
city
have
of
had.
Milton, they work for,
You could say that in the state of West Virginia, but then half the state of West Virginia could say it was a mess.
well, typically, if it'd been a mess, they probably wouldn't have got hired by us.
That's what I'm asking.
To be read, but I mean, Donovan, do you guys have a?
I mean, you're welcome to go to our website at thethrashergroup.com. There's a list of representative projects. If you want a list, I'm happy to give them. I'll give you names and contacts of whomever you want on the water and sewer side of what I've done throughout my career.
Those things are available on the Thrasher Group's
We have
website.
some representative projects on there, but if you want something more in depth than that's on our website, I'd be happy to provide it to you.
Robin Spurlock.
I just, is it true that when this comes through, that where it comes through that, do we get hooked on at that time free?
If the connection is made during construction, when the line's coming to the respective residents, then yes, there is no tap fee charged by the district.
Okay, and then my other concern is, I do know that area and up Route 2, the 9 Mile and stuff like that, that is a really low income area. And are they gonna eventually have to conform to this?
Don, you wanna,
Well, what's the distance requirement?
it's 300 feet, 250 feet.
Anyone that's within 250 feet of the of the sewer line would have to connect.
Eventually what happens?
If it'll flow by
If they're
gravity.
flowed by gravity into the line.
Mr. Joe Anderson.
Yes, I wonder what benefit it's going to, do the customers between, well, Clark Estates, which is shown on the map, say to Big Bend Road. I mean, I've lived there 70 years, and I wonder how this is gonna improve what's already been there for 70 years, and how much is it gonna cost? I mean, I'm sure everyone here that's, here at the meeting wonders, how much is it gonna cost out of my pocketbook? Or, my neighbor's pocketbook. And if you've recently put a new septic tank in, what is that gonna play? You put that in, and then you come along and do this, and I don't see any new industries being put in between Clark Estates and Ben Bowen. So, I just don't see the purpose for it without a little more information. How much is it gonna cost? Are we gonna get charged when we tap on? And how much is that cost gonna be? And, what effect is it gonna have, on the road slippage up through Route Two? I know there's been a road slippage there on Route Two in one place ever since I've been around, and I've been around a while. So, those are some of the questions I'd like addressed.
Jonathan, on Clark Estates, we're doing a substantial amount of work there, are we not?
We are.
Could you explain to the gentleman
There-
the nature of the work and the purpose?
In Clark Estates, there's a package treatment plant up there at Clark Estates that's in.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay. In Clark Estates, there is a packaged wastewater treatment plant up there that is in poor condition. And the district was actually approached by the West Virginia, Department of Environmental Protection that it was in poor condition. And really, I think there was even some ownership concerns about who actually owned it, and it was a major environmental concern. So the district, at the bequest of the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection, decided to include that as part of the project and do away with that failing package plant as part of the project. And that's how that came about.
I understand how it came about, but that doesn't answer any of the questions I asked. How much is it gonna cost? What about the slippage in the road? When do you, look for this to take place? What time frame are we dealing with?
Okay, are you, in terms of your cost question, are you saying rates? What are you going to be paying? Is that your question about cost?
That's one question, yes, sir.
Okay. I'll defer to.
Well, as I said before, the rates, there are 4 different phases for the rates. The first rate impact will be 45 days if this commission approves the resolution and the project.
And how soon will that be, whether that's decided?
I would assume that the commission will act sometime in the next couple of weeks, one way or the other. The proposed rates, and obviously these depend on your usage, but the step 1 rates would be an increase of $3.13 per month on 334 cubic feet, which is 2,500 gallons, and that's a minimum bill. The phase 2 rates would increase by an additional $4.80, and we're anticipating those sometime in July of 2021. In 2022, a rate increase of $2.08 on the minimum bills. These are all minimum bills, which is how they're calculated for purposes of rate increases. And then $2.18 in May 1 of 2023. And even with those will not raise the P Ridge rates much above what Culloden, Milton, Salt Rock, Sewer are now, which are the other entities that are servicing the citizens of Cabot County. As to the road slippage, I think we did some work out there.
Well, with the road slippage, we were required to get a permit from the West Virginia Division of Highways. And in conjunction with that permit, we're also required to put up a highway bond should any of our construction impact the slippage that you're talking about or within inside the DOH right of way. That bond is there to protect that, to ensure that if our construction impacts that money is set aside to correct those issues.
But if you go 6 houses above 3 Mile Creek, there's a slip in the road that's been there, I know, 70 years. And it gets worse all the time instead of better. And it's dangerous. And I'm wondering what impact, if any, this project's gonna have on that slip.
We could look at it and see where we have installed the sewer line. I don't know the exact location, but we can certainly look at that and see if we see an existing slip, we're gonna stay away from it. I mean, the worst thing we wanna do is put something in already a failing land condition. I mean, we wanna work around that slippage, but we can look at your locations, specifically and make sure that we can, put it in without doing anything that's gonna hinder the slippage anymore.
Ron DeKemple?
I'll use the microphone. Hold that clock for a second. I got it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I thought we were gonna have 5 minutes to talk, so I can guess what I want to say. I come before you this evening as a citizen, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a builder developer. I am president and primary owner of RD Developers, which April 30th will have been in business 50 years. I've been in charge of developing subdivisions, from medium price subdivisions. We won a Subdivision of the Year award in the 70s for Emmondale Village. We've built Laurel Woods, Longwood, Arbor Hill, Forest Park, on and on. Here's the point, folks. It's pay me now or pay me later. These folks have worked hard to be able to get grants. As you heard the attorney say a little while ago, $3.5 million. The Pea Ridge sewer system is a failing system. I own millions of dollars of rental property right next to the Pea Ridge sewer system. The smell and the problems are things that they have to deal with every day. Anybody that drives up Route 60 can smell the lagoon at Barbersville during a hot day. There are a few lagoons in operation in the state of West Virginia. I come to you from a totally different perspective also. My company owns the Williamsburg sewer system. We have 207 customers and we're broke. They're supposed to pay me $400 a month as the general manager. I haven't been paid for 4 years because the sewer system doesn't have any money. We've lost over $150,000 and the Public Service Commission will not give us sufficient rate to be able to handle that. If I die tonight, the sewerage going out of the Williamsburg sewer system is going to be going in the river. That's the kind of thing we're faced with in this community. And I had planned to speak to you about economic development in general, but I don't think I have time. But it's very important for economic development. Folks, the reason why you live in this community is it's a great place to live. As an owner of rental property, as a guy that's been hand to hand with people that have spent money for housing, they love living here. With what's happened in our country lately, there's going to be more people want to come places like this. A rising tide takes up all the ships. We really need this project. Barbersville needs the project. Pea Ridge needs the project. And we need the economic development to come from it. I think you said my time's up. Thank you.
April Knight?
Hi, I have a few questions. Actually, I have a ton of questions, but I know I don't have much time. So, the things that are most important to me is how much notice will I be given when it's time for me to tap into the sewer on Kyle Lane? I'm a single mom. I don't have a lot of money set aside to hire contractors. I don't even know who I would hire. So, I would need some time to put that together, get a bid, save up. I understand that regardless of whether or not we tap into the sewer, we're gonna get a bill. I would like to just know if that's correct. And living in the Kyle Lane neighborhood, we've had lots of meetings lately about how our neighborhood's gonna be bulldozed for a bridge. So if that's gonna happen, why tear it up now, put a sewer in, and then bulldoze my house? That's just a lot of extra stress. And like my neighbors have already said, we're not a rich neighborhood. It's mostly retired folks. This is an undue burden and an undue waste of resources to tear up our neighborhood.
John, as far as the contractor will notify people prior to the installation of the line as to when they can hook up, correct?
Yeah, well, and I think the TSD would send out notice to each one when it's ready.
But how far in advance?
We've done it on other projects.
Can you identify yourself for the record? Can you identify
Oh,
yourself?
sorry, Dina Foster. Once the sewer is available, we send out a notice, give me 30 days to connect. Now, if there's a certain hardship, or say it's middle of winter when it's finally finished, we always work with people to give them more time if they need. So it's, the law says we have to give 30 days, but we work with people to, that have certain challenges. I know we did that in the last project.
Yeah, that's not a lot of time to find a contractor, get an estimate, get them booked and hired, and save up however much money you need to do this.
Well, you're
But
talking.
the district is willing to work with people, but it's more a matter of communication. I mean, we're not trying to be draconian on this. We understand that, for instance, in one area, there may be one contractor trying to do more than one house. It may take them longer than, 2 or 3 days to get it done. But, I think you'll find that, from a public utility perspective, that the Peter Public Service Committee tries to cooperate rather than command discussion.
And from the time that we start construction, you've got about 18 months before the sewer service is going to be available to you to tie into anyway. So, when you start talking about a time frame of when this would happen, based off approvals, and you go through a bidding process, you're pretty much right at a 2-year period from the time that we actually bid it to when the sewer service would actually be available for you to tie in.
So then people on my block will only get benefit of sewage for maybe 2 years? That's a huge expense to get the service for maybe 2 to 4 years, when our house is gonna be bought to build a bridge.
I don't really know anything.
I'm not,
about the bridge
don't know anything
project,
about the bridge project.
but my suspicion is that I don't think it's that imminent. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in that thing. I could be wrong, but as far as I know, there's nothing immediate that would tend to lead me to believe that we shouldn't do this part of the project, but I'm sure we'll look into it and see, if they are gonna condemn or, buy out homeowners along Kyle Lane for the purpose of the bridge, then we need to know about it sooner rather than later, and I think we would have already heard about
I
that.
thought you all should have already known about it, because the timelines on the internet that says it could happen in as little as 4 years. Well, the thing is, they are in phase 2 now, they're on the last year of it. In the next 3 to 6 years, you're gonna be buying people out.
But they also said at the meeting, they're not buying a lot of people out, they don't do that anymore. They try to make the bridge as at least impact on the community.
Well, the bridge is not, in question.
Exactly, I'm gonna have an outbreak behind my set.
Mr. Living is next. I would ask him if he has bridge answers, but that's not what we're here for.
There's no bridge answers. My name's David Living. I'm president of the Huntington Area Development Council. We're an economic development agency in Huntington, West Virginia, and we cover Campbell and Wayne counties. I can tell you that having a public infrastructure present is essential for economic development. If we can't, we have 2 real main functions at HADCO. We work extensively with our existing businesses, including those in the Kyle Lane, Industrial Park. And we also work to attract new businesses here. So without public infrastructure present, our chances of attracting new employers here are significantly impacted. Not only having the public infrastructure present is important, but it's also important to have the capacity present to attract new employers to our area. But today, I'm most concerned about our existing employers. One of the largest employers in Campbell County operates in Kyle Lane Industrial Park, and that's Alcon. They're here today. They may be speaking, I'm not sure. They're not here to operate a public package plant, to be in the sewer business. That takes money away from things that they can invest in terms of new equipment, new investments in their facility, that makes it more efficient. That actually allows them to put more people to work and pay them a good wage that allows them to have a good way of life here in Cabell County. So I can tell you that my experience in being at HADCO and prior to that at the State Economic Development Office for many years, public infrastructure is the key to economic growth. We have to have it. We have to compete with other communities that provide it. And if we don't have it, we're not going to be successful. And again, it's about keeping the jobs we have here, hundreds of good paying jobs, and attracting new ones here. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Next is Steve Dillon.
My name's Steve Dillon. I live at 5620 Ohio River Road. And what I hear from Hadco and this man that's got a bunch of rental properties is that they need our side of the tracks to pay for their sewer. We got good sewers now that we do not need these people coming in and charging us money that we don't need for their sewer. Our sewers are fine. So we don't come to our side of the track to pay for your all's sewer bill that we do not want. But while I'm up here, I'm unique because we're on the last 7 houses on a private road on Route 2. There's one person that wants that sewer down them last 7 houses on Route 2, and that's Mr. Ryder, which they bought land off of to build the pump station to pump it back out of our neighborhood. We do not want their sewer down our road. We need them to stop up by YMCA and not come down our road because we do not want their sewer. And I've been talking to the neighbors. There've been a couple questions from the hood down there, and they want to know how come you don't grandfather people in with their septic tanks. Any new people that build down there can hook to your sewer system. Any time or a house sold can hook to your sewer system. That's how it usually works. How come the people that's already there are not grandfathered into your sewer system? Do you know?
There's no provision for grandfathering under the statute.
There is the provisions. That's what usually happens. We're grandfathered in.
Not in the statute that controls public service districts.
How many of y'all people from Cabell County? So you Thrasher people ain't from Cabell County? That's your all's constituents. These people's gonna be voting the next time that there's a Cabell County election. So you need to look at these people over here, not these people over here. Because these people here is your all's constituents and who's gonna vote for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dillon. There is a name written on here that was after Mr. Dillon and before Monica Watts.
Doug Cisco.
I spoke last time, but I've got a few questions. As far as the average.
Wait, what was your name?
Doug Cisco.
Doug Cisco, thank you.
Just like it says it.
Yeah, just like it says.
Go right ahead.
As far as the average bill, and I know that he said that was the basic bill or low bill, but the average bill was saying it was like 3,500 gallons, something like that.
No, the average monthly is that in order to calculate the rate, you have to know how many gallons you're looking at. And what we looked at was 2,500 gallons as a minimum.
okay, 2,500 as a minimum.
The district's rates are set up according to cubic feet, so.
And also it had an average on there for 35, I believe it was. And I'm a house of 3, I've got a 6-year-old, me and my wife. I use about 45 to 4,800 gallons of water. I got a $70 water bill. We got Mr. Dillon that just spoke, there's a house of 2, their bill is what, $70?
Yeah.
Okay. I was speaking with somebody that's already got this up in Green Bottom, he said his water bill is 50. He's already on this system. His water bill is $50, he said whatever his water bill is, his sewer bill matches it. So he's got a $50 sewer bill already, but it's showing on the minimum is 28 as far as the paperwork that I received. I was just wondering on that.
I mean, I don't have an answer for him, I mean,
Do you have?
as to somebody's individual bill being different, you know, the water consumption based on gallons used, that's, you know,
I'm just saying their average that they're coming up with is not, I don't know anybody that's got.
I don't have an answer to that question.
But, okay, I'm just asking some questions. And also on another thing, who does who dig your all's lines? Is it actually Thrasher, or is it P Ridge?
No, the project itself as a whole is bid out statewide. And then the lowest qualified bidder, will be the person that will perform the line work. Then there'll be a separate bid for the actual wastewater treatment tanks.
Okay, so it's not P Ridge or
No,
Thrasher?
it's all publicly bid, just like every other.
Okay, so that's one other thing. It says on here, Mr. Corey came out and he's done seen where my property would be basically impossible to attach to, because you'd have to be so deep on the side of my house. Correct? So, anyways, he gave me a thing for just declining. Okay, but this other paper that I'm looking at, I got 3 pieces of property, and it's stating for the sum consideration of $1 cash in hand, they want, on one piece of property, they want 17.5 feet by about 100 feet, which equals up to 1,758 square feet for $1. Okay, my mom's house, which lives at the side of it, that's another 1,300 square feet for $1. And then the house or my raw land across the street, which I don't really care that much about that, that's another 1,000 feet or some, I forget how many square feet it was. No, it's only 183, that ain't much. But still, yeah, they're wanting, is P Ridge not a profit company or?
No, it's a non-profit organization.
It's non-profit.
Public corporation.
Okay, but I just can't see where I worked hard all my life to buy the properties that I've got right here. Well, it's saying this is just, I've got rental property, and this says, for the consideration, the sum of $1 cash in hand paid valuable considerations, the receipt of which hereby acknowledge the said property of the first part hereby grant and convey. This is basically like a deed. I mean, I've got like 20 rentals, and then I know that somebody, what's the guy that come up, talking to you, tried to hand our elderly neighbor, Jack Bell, $1, and Jack threw it on the ground. He was like, well, we just give that to you in good faith, trying to get him to receive $1, basically, for this.
Thank you, sir.
Can somebody answer that though? I'd like to know the answers to these questions.
Which question?
He was talking about, I saw shaking of heads, no. What,
Well,
can you explain that?
if his concern is the $1, I think Mr. Watson will also explain as your attorney that is just general language that is put in every conveyancing instrument to make sure that there's some consideration, that means value put in it so that it's a valid conveyance.
Oh, I know the answer. I was just wanting him to know the answer.
Yeah, but Mr. Cisco, that $1 is, if you look at every deed that you've ever had, it'll either say cash in hand, $10 or $1. Doesn't mean that's what you paid for. It means that that's put in there as boilerplate language so that the deed passes muster as having consideration.
To transfer property, that's telling me that I'm transferring my property to someone else that I paid for.
No. If you look at your other deeds, you know what you paid for your property, correct?
Yes.
I will bet you that each one of them says at least for $10, the same language is at maybe $1.
I know that, I understand what you're saying, but they're saying they want me to sign this for $1 in hand to convey, grant and convey the said property.
I understand that.
And that it's showing the permanent easement, utility easement, goes 17 feet in my yard.
I'm not saying, nobody can force you to sign that, nobody can force you to accept $1. If you wanna voluntarily do that, then that easement will be supported by consideration, which is the $1.
Thank you. Monica Watts?
Alright, so I did a little research, and it looks like this has been in the works since the 1990 or so, over, Peerage acquired Altizer and Route 2. I guarantee no one knew of that. He didn't buy his house until the 2000s. He didn't know of that.
I can't hear
Mom
that.
bought her house back in the 80s. She didn't know about this requirement on the land.
Ms. Flex,
Yes.
we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you. Do you think you could maybe pull your mask down a minute while you're talking?
Okay, so I just don't know where, I just think that it's taking all these owners off guard. It's where I looked up where Peter's purchased Altizer and Route 2 back in the 90s. And we didn't know anything about that. Mom's had her house, our property since the 80s. He bought his property in the 2000s. I'm sure he didn't know anything about this property being owned by the Peerage Assessing Division. And I just don't understand what is the need for it. Why can't you all connect to a Route 60 sewer line? Why do we have to build a whole new sewer line that goes down Mason County and everything else?
Over in, when we were planning this project, that area over in Altizer actually flows into the Huntington Sanitary Board sewer system. And when we did an analysis of who could serve that area, Huntington did not have the capacity at the time and was not able to serve that area. So that alternative was, deemed not able to move forward with it. So that is why we looked at, another place to treat the wastewater.
So that you couldn't get Altizer, so you look your own too?
No, Altizer, the area on Route 2 goes into Huntington, Altizer goes into Plant B.
Okay.
Correct, Plant B is overall near 29th Street.
I just don't understand where all this is coming from. Everybody on Route 2 is okay with their septic systems. We never asked for any of this. It's just like, why now? The pandemic, it's job losses.
Okay, thank you. Chad Stutler?
Might have to nudge you. Well, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Chad Stutler, and I'm the head of Health, Safety, Environmental for Alcon. Alcon is a global company, and it's a world leader in eye care. One of the key products of that company is made on Kyle Lane, right in the middle of this project. It is an intraocular lens that's used to replace cataract in patients. Millions a year are replaced and restores vision. We have a lot of residents here, right? I guarantee there are some employees or retired employees. We have loved ones or friends that have worked for Alcon in this area. That facility has been there since the late 70s and has grown since. And right now we employ 700 associates at that location. So it's a very important employer in the area, high paid job. It's a world leading eye care medical device facility. It's very important. If we want Alcon to continue to invest in our site, right here in Cabell County, we have got to have the critical infrastructure in order for them to do so. When they're looking at their sites across the globe, these are the type of risks that they look at when they want to put capital investments to expand, to grow employment in their sites. And without public sewer, it is a black eye for the Alcon site right here in our county. So I want to say Alcon supports this project completely. We need it. We need this project for all of our associates and their loved ones that work and live in the community. Okay, thank you.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You've got another building laid up in Greenvine or whatever, and I've heard that they're shutting that one down and moving everything out there. So why do you all need a sewer system here if you're gonna move?
Put it on the record that is not true. I've never heard that before, and there's no plan to close either of those sites.
Then why don't you all move everybody out there and leave our neighborhood alone?
Yes.
Fred Ryder.
Okay, I live in Grand Meadows subdivision, we have a lagoon, and we did not know until last year that everything was out of code and everything, so we've been working at that, trying to get back in code. And we got a fine, and our community is probably 80% retired people. We got a large fine. And what I understand about it, if we come on to Febuary sewer, we're responsible for getting rid of the lagoon and whatever else we have. It's, our community cannot afford to do both. This thing, we gotta get this thing in shape right now. It can't be thrown on. We're gonna spend a lot of money getting this lagoon in our shape it needs to be in. And we can't do that and then turn around and pay a bunch of money to get rid of it. So, we had a meeting with Febuary, going on the third year now, and they said within 2 years they would be over there. Well, they haven't even started anything yet. So what I was saying, we came forward, our community came forward to get this all up into shape like it's supposed to be. We're spending a lot of money for drainage and piping and catch tanks and all kinds of stuff like that. And we cannot afford to pay to get rid of the pond if we have to hook this Febuary sewer. So that's what I want to know, do we have to hook onto it?
So, are you referring, we had a meeting with the Grand Meadows group, and it's probably been 2 or 3 years ago, with interest in hooking into it, and we're notified that, yes, that was of interest to the group at that time. Can you not hear me? I'm sorry. So, I mean, we did have a public meeting at the community center there, and that's been about 2.5, 3
We're in
years.
the third year now.
Something like
They
that.
said they would be there in 2 years. Well, they haven't even started anything yet. We're in the third year.
Well, I mean, we got a design, we had to obtain easements, we had to obtain the pump station properties. We've done all of those things.
But it's gonna be quite a few more years before you're ever up there. But still, we cannot, our community is not retired, we cannot afford to fix this up like it's gonna be right now, or we do. And then turn around and spend out how many $100,000 to get rid of the lagoon.
Well, and one of the things that this project's gonna take care of are these package plants that are problematic. I mean, it's not only your system, the lagoon, there are other package plants that are having environmental issues with the DEP as well, that the DEP would like to get rid of.
I'll be okay, if they would get rid of the lagoon, if we have to. But we can't afford to do it. It's already stood.
Well, I mean, one of the things, I'd be happy to talk to you separately and see what the DEP is telling us you need to do, because if public sewer is available, there's probably something we can do with environmental enforcement to the DEP to try to work through that, to provide that sewer service.
We're gonna get
I expect, and
Like I said,
draw
is
some
DEP
conclusion.
is aware of our plans for
Plans to
Brandon.
do that, I mean, that's why we had the public meeting to get.
That's what I wanna know, if we have to move on to them, when they come through.
Well, part of that subdivision too was there were two gentlemen, and I'm sorry, I can't remember their names, that came to Febuary PSD board meeting and said, hey, um, we're interested in getting the sewer system on board, with P Ridge, and so I think, Corey, you went out and met with the two gentlemen, and some of the existing sewer lines are actually underneath houses and are right in between houses, and it was gonna be pretty problematic, so we went out there and looked at putting sewer line out in the road and, and updating everything for that, but the responsibility in terms of these package plants is the owner of the package plant to do any decommissioning as part of this, so all the other package plants that we're doing, getting rid of.
I just think if everybody's got a sewer that's good shape and everything like that.
What he's getting at, is we're bringing our pond up to code completely. For us to decommission, it's gonna cost us $3,000.
John, can you check with DEP and see what
We've
the
already
status?
checked with them. Isn't there some precedent with the DEP for stalling these kind of things that these people are faced with this project?
Yeah, there's public sewer available, that's one of the things, that's why I wanted to know about what the DEP had told you. Because the public sewer's coming through there.
We know that, but we don't want it. None of us
Okay,
do. And our whole, we got 59 houses, we don't want it.
we're a little off track, and perhaps with PSC and other things, you can work out something, give it a shot. And, the Honorable Mayor of Barbersville, who did not sign the sheet, but would like to speak before he has to leave.
I was just gonna address the commission and say, first of all, to Thrasher, I've worked alongside Thrasher for
Hey, we
11
can't hear
years.
you.
I'll go to the podium. I'll go to the podium. I'm the mayor of Barbersville. I'm Chris Tatum. First of all, I want to say to Thrasher, I've worked alongside you guys for a long time. You guys do impeccable work, and I appreciate the working relationship that we've had, as well as Hadco. And I want to say, for our side of the hill over in Barbersville, this project's super important to us for a number of reasons. One of those being the aforementioned lagoon system that has been addressed here. Our system is antiquated, and the Department of Environmental Protection is acutely aware that we are not up to code either. When we started exploring our project to move our flow to P Ridge, of course they were on board with us moving our flow to there, because it means you deal with an environmental issue relatively quickly. The other thing that I'll say from our standpoint, and as you commissioners know, one of the things when you talk to companies like Alcon and anyone else who is looking to develop in your community are infrastructure needs. And infrastructure is vitally important to Barbersville and the surrounding areas. So, you know, for that reason, we support our side of the project. Obviously, I think you have to look at it from your constituent standpoint as well, but development, if we're going to keep up and continue to grow our area, I think you have to look at the development side of this as well. So that's really all I have to say at this point. We're supportive because we do have some skin in the game, and we are up against the wall to close our lagoon system. The Department of Environmental Protection wants our lagoon systems closed.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I apologize, I have to go to another meeting at 6:30, so thank you for allowing me to speak this evening.
Daryl Kinch.
Sorry to speak out of turn, but why can't Barbersville connect Route 60?
I'm sorry, I didn't, if that's directed to me, I didn't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry to speak out of turn, but why can't Barbersville connect to Route 60 sewer line? Why can't they do that? Leave Route 2 out of it.
Great answer.
My name is Daryl Kinch. Fred's already addressed a lot of the things that we're talking about. Because we have been fined by the Department of Environmental Protection, we have no choice but to try to upgrade that pond. Since you're talking at least 2 years to get in there. So we just can't sit back for 2 years and not do anything and not expect them to raise that fine even more than it already is. Okay, so that is the one problem. And then as Fred said, the pond that is there now, okay, has a lot of sludge in it. Now we're doing some things in to upgrade that so it's, some of it goes away, but it is gonna be expensive to take all that sludge and dispose of it somewhere, okay? And, my understanding is that, you know, the public sewer system is not gonna absorb that cost. And as Fred said, that means that all the families that are in there do it, okay? So, and with that in mind, I've talked to several people that are on the P-Rich system now. One of them is on the newer system we went up to a couple of years ago. He's got a family of 5 and he's paying roughly $120 a month sewer. He's got girls, okay? I can tell you when my kids left home, just for the water price, okay? That's a big difference from what we're paying now. And then I know you said that we would get the free tap, okay, which is free. But we're also gonna have to pay somebody to make that tap for us, okay? Cause they're not gonna, you know, you're not gonna come in and dig up my property to do that line, and that. So, you know, you got the fine that we're dealing with, and will it increase, okay? And then you've got the cost of getting rid of that pond when we turn it over to your system. So that's really where the questions come in. I know you spoke about the, you know, the you know, trying to get more jobs in the area and stuff like that. That is crucial, okay? But it's also crucial for the people that live in the subdivision. And I'm fortunate, I wouldn't wanna have to pay a whole bunch, but, you know, I'm probably in a better position than a lot of people are that are in the subdivision, okay? And, so we're just trying to make sure we understand, you know, what it's gonna cost us, overall, to, you know, make that tie-in, so. That's really all I have to say, because Fred addressed the rest of it, so.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you.
I'm at the end of this list. Is there anybody who has,
You know, just, I know Barbersville's not gonna pay for their lagoon removal and whatever they have to do, but include Barbersville with these other 5 or 6 lagoons that they gotta fix. To get back up to code, or once they get rid of them. I know the 5 that you got to have to fix.
that, obviously all we're doing is holding this hearing.
Get the money to include these people with Barbersville.
You have any thoughts?
I'm not sure I understood what he was asking. I'm sorry.
Barbersville's got a big lake out there, just, we wanna get rid of it, as soon as this goes on.
Correct.
Who's gonna pay for that?
Citizens of Barbersville.
Or without grants or anything else?
I don't have any idea about their funding package, but they are just gonna be a customer.
Got some grant money to help these people.
Well, I mean, the funding package is what it is. I mean, I wish I had a better answer for you, but I don't. As far as how Barbersville's gonna fund theirs, I'm assuming they'll go through the same process that P-Rich went through, which is pass rates, go to the funding agency, see what grants they can get.
Help these people out.
Well, we'll do the best we can do, that's all I can tell you.
Anyone else?
Mike Zelman, I live at 5433 Ohio River Road. I was wondering what type of piping system, and is this gonna be a gravity flow system? Is this gonna be a pumping station with, tanks and stuff, or what we're gonna put out there?
It's a gravity flow system. We have, I believe 16 pump stations, so we have collection areas that would be gravity flow to a pump station. And then a series of pump stations would pump it to the treatment facility on Nova Street.
Okay, so we're not gonna be messing with any grinder pumps or anything like
There's
that?
a few individual grinders for folks, but the majority of it is gravity flow.
Okay. That's what I.
Can I ask one more question? Our electric went out for almost a week. Now, if our electric goes off and we're hooked to your sewer system, what happens? It just backs up?
Well, we have emergency generator connections for the main pump stations. If it's gravity flow, gravity flow into the system, and we have electric power for the pump station, we have emergency generators to emergency
Down
generator.
there where you put this, pump station of Riders, you sure it's out of the flood zone?
Yes.
Because most of his land's in the flood zone.
We're required to.
You'll have to put it up towards his house to get it out of the flood zone.
The electrical controls and everything are required to be up above the 100-year flood stage.
Okay. I just wondered, you know, our electric's been out for a week. What happened? Somebody told me it just all backs up and you can't flush your toilet.
When gravity flow system is flowing in, we've got emergency power to pump it out of there.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
3 years ago, when Febuary came to our Grand Meadows subdivision, they were making us promises and telling us this and telling us that. Next thing we know, 2 years later, they can't do anything. They lost their funding or something. We have to wait 2 more years. We've already spent all this money checking out all of our pipes. We're spending money to clean everything up around it, put new fences in, put new drainage lines in. But we still have to have the faith that you guys are gonna treat us right. I mean, we put a lot of money and a lot of our blood, sweat, and tears in our community. Do you think we really want somebody to come in and take that away from us? Because our operator told us our lagoon will operate forever. What do you have to answer about that?
I can say when we went out, we wanted to get the public's buy-in before we ever pursued going there into Grand Meadows. That's why we had that meeting down there and that discussion. And at that point, majority were on board to go ahead.
You made us a promise 3 years ago that y'all be in there in 2 years.
And now it costs, you got fines and everything on top of it.
Because we got waiting on you guys to do your jobs. And y'all couldn't bring it in like you said you were going to. Y'all expected us to wait, and that's why we got fined.
Sir, could you state your name, please?
My name?
Yes, please.
Steve
Can you provide your last name?
Flora.
Steve Flora. Thank you.
If, no one else has comments,
I've got a question.
Yeah, I would like to say something, Jim.
yes, ma'am.
I'm Nancy Cartmill, and I'm a county commissioner, and I'm on the phone and have been on the phone the whole meeting. The reason that I'm not there is because I had knee replacement surgery last week, but I have been listening, and I just wanted everybody to know that. Thank you.
She will be also one that will be making the decision. You have anything to say?
Yeah, I have a question. Is there anything that we could go to the DEP and try to have forgiveness on these lagoon situations and, you know, kind of do away with the fines because they've been waiting to have the service connected? I mean, is there any type of forgiveness with DEP to not go after the lagoons that are out of compliance?
That's what I was getting at when I was talking earlier, was to see about environmental enforcement and see exactly what the fines were at this point, where the status of this project was, and talk to them to see if there is any. Because environmental enforcement is who came to the PSD about Clark Estates and other issues. They approached the local, the local sewer provider to say, hey, there may be a private failing system. Would you happen to look at it? And in this case, I think we could talk to DEP, and we wanted to talk to Mr. Rader, Mr. Clinch after this to see exactly what's going on there.
Ma'am, in that time, President, 2 years, we've been working hard and spending the time and spending the money to bring it up to code. We're close to having it up to code. And now, this is why I'm saying we don't want to hook up, because we've done our part to get it ready, and our operator did say that he could operate that indefinitely without any problems.
Once again, that's something that I think Thrasher will have to talk with DEP about, just to get a lay of the land and see where we go from there. That's the best answer we've got. I mean, we were approached to go to Grand Meadows, and, it was our understanding that they wanted us there. There's been a turnaround, and we'll sure look into it, along with guidance from DEP.
Would I take it you gentlemen, from Peterage would be available, for questions, after we close the meeting, until you leave?
I really need to get out of here on behalf of me. I mean, I had to remove some testing for my wife in the UK, and we're trying to get out of town if we can get out of town.
If there's, no more business to come before the special commission meeting, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all
A
in
second.
favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned.